I'm Jason Kiefer. On today's episode of Illegal Shift, we're going to be talking about that last play with the Chicago Bears where they failed to stop the Washington Redskins from scoring right as the game ended. That was an amazing play. We're going to talk about the Jets and their snowball of hope. Did it turn into an avalanche, or is the team just being buried? Also, Jerry Jones needs to do something. For the love of God, do something before the deadline. Jameis Winston brings hope to the mistake on the lake. Joe Flacco, that guy who was playing 20 years ago, he's back. He's back. Brady's getting emotional on social media. The game that Keith and I are looking forward to has become an utter joke. And lots of other things going on. Keith, with your permission, I will go ahead and start the show.
Start the show, sir.
Let's do it.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the
Giving them business down there at the 15-yard penalty.
There was no foul on the play. It was not a hold. The defender was just overpowered.
Illegal shift on the kicking team. That penalty is refused. First down.
Guns up, giddy up, Wolfpack. It's Illegal Shift. It's the sports show that's on Failure to Stop. Now and for the last time. The reason for that is that there's a major reorganization going on around here. C-Minus Media kind of putting its house in order. This network started as Failure to Stop with the one show, Failure to Stop. And then it got Night Shift, which was true crime. And then it got Last Call, which used to be just about following Britney Spears on her Instagram. But that got taken away from her. So that show changed over to politics. And then, Night Shift kind of became strictly true crime, so there was no more alien stuff really. And then we got Uncuffed Comedy, and it's just like, it's all one big salad now. It's a salad of all this stuff, and it's like let's just sort everything out. Let's make Failure to Stop go back to what it was when it started, meaning just police stuff, first responder stuff, and then let's take all the other stuff that we all love. And let's put it in this new brand that Eric's launched called Fox News. It makes sense because what we're talking about here is stuff that's in the news. Yeah, it's not World War III or Donald Trump or whatever. It's stuff that's in sports, right? It's for those of us who just can't bear to look as the world ends. So just letting you know that you need to find and follow Fox News on YouTube and also on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And that you'll be able to continue to find Illegal Shift there. And of course, as always, you'll still be able to find us on One More I'm Out of Here, because that is the place where the intellectual property of Jason Kiefer is. Speaking of Kiefer, he's my co-host. He's a firefighter somewhere in the Buckeye State, more than Michigan's little brother. Kiefer, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Glad to be back on a Kelly week this week, so got a few days off. So that's fantastic. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm John. I'm a 911 dispatcher. That's what qualifies me to talk about sports. But I can't do that anywhere else. On ESPN, they don't even let me in the building. At my local NBC News affiliate, there's nobody there because it's all AI. So there's just nowhere for me to be doing that. So I have to get on YouTube and I have to be on a first responders channel. If you're wondering what this is, it's first responder sports. That's what we're doing. Kiefer, how have things been for you in the last week? Like, what's going on with you there? Any cool fire stories? Any cool saves?
No, it's been fairly mundane, which is a good thing. But as far as run wise, nothing too outside the box. Typical EMS runs and chest pains and whatnots. But
how many runs do you go on in a week?
In a week?
Yeah,
I don't know. We average anywhere from 6 to 8 a day. So, and I work every third day, so I'm not there every day.
Okay, but so you've done like maybe 9 to 13 runs since we last had an episode,
probably.
But nothing.
Maybe a couple more, but yeah,
nothing has happened.
Nothing too crazy. Like I said, the boring chest pains at 3 a.m. type runs. I've had chest pains for 3 days, and I decided at 3 a.m. I'm going to call you because it's so bad.
But nobody's died on you or anything.
Nope.
Do you keep track of that stuff like stats, like I do?
Like a fighter jet.
Well, kill per day ratio. Yeah, I guess that is what a fighter jet would have. Yeah.
No, I do not.
We do that at my agency. We don't, they're not really kills because it's not we're not responsible for murder in a legal sense, but it's like if somebody dies, like if it's your call for service that you managed, that you took the call on, really, that counts. And we have limits per week of how many people we can kill. I think the limit is 3, but I've seen that limit exceeded. And what it does is it just starts a meeting where you have to go in there and explain why you're getting all these people killed. I think I've done 2 in a day before. It was really probably my upward most limit. So
your best work.
well, I mean, there was once a guy that had a heart attack on top of a grain elevator. Like, the guy calls me, he's 911, like, yeah, my buddy's up on top of this grain elevator. I'm like, okay, we need to do CPR because he's down. He's having a cardiac event. He's like, okay, I have to climb 60 feet of ladder to get to him. Because he's like, well, it's probably a lot higher than that because he's way up on top of this grain elevator. I'm like, I almost hate to ask because I'm kind of a city Billy. I'm like, when you get up there, was the grain elevator built with a CPR platform there for your convenience? Is he just like slung over like a grain spike or a railing or something? Anyway, and it's like, you can't just like, put a harness on him and have a helicopter come and pick him up or anything. I don't even know how they got him down from there. Maybe I should ask you as a firefighter. Somebody dies.
That'd be very interesting.
There was an SNL sketch a couple weeks ago where somebody dies atop of a water slide, and they're like, "Well, we should pick him up and carry him down the steps." And the steps is full of children, and the EMTs are like, he wanted to go down the slide anyway. It'd be easier to do that, and so they end up just like gently sliding. They put him on the slide and slide down, and then they slide down after him. Is that what you would do, or
in that situation? Yeah, probably.
Would you really? Would you push him down a water slide?
No, probably not. A grain elevator, I'm not familiar with, the workings of a grain elevator and whatnot. So I have no idea how that would transpire.
So if I paged you out and told you to go do CPR for a guy on top of a grain elevator, you'd just be like, holy shit, I have no idea what I'm driving to.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to climb a ladder with all your equipment, first of all.
Because I work in the suburbs. I don't work in the country. So like we just don't have those.
Well, you ought to move to the country because you're going to eat a lot of peaches when you do. I think you'd be surprised. All right. Well, if you don't have any interesting kills or anything to talk about, I could pay the bills. The show's brought to you by GhostBed. GhostBed's been a loyal sponsor of this show since way, way, way back in the beginning. Since this podcast was just primordial ooze. Back when it was just the one thing that Mike the Cop for sure never wanted to do, which was sports. Way, way back then, GhostBed was supporting Failure to Stop. You go to ghostbed.com, use the offer code Wolfpack. You can save 40% on anything that you find there. They have adjustable frames, cooling technology, pillows, the most comfortable mattresses that you could ever lay upon. If you're a first responder like me or like Kiefer, and you're out there hard charging into a world that fears and hates you, maybe not so much as a firefighter, but as a police officer, you deserve a nice, warm place to sleep because, like I said, the world is not so much fun. The world's not a comfortable place for you. And, GhostBed can make that possible. It's made from 100% all natural, American, organically harvested human souls converted into bed technology, probably against their will, probably against God's plan. But you can go out and get one of these beds and you could try it, not for 99 nights, not for 100 nights, but for 101 nights. And if you don't like it, you know what? You can send it back. No hard feelings. That's the kind of company that GhostBed is. They want to bring you the best technology for your sleep and improve your nights. Go to ghostbed.com, offer code Wolfpack. We're also brought to you by Sound Transit, or more officially, the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority, which is a public transit agency in the Seattle metropolitan area in the state of Washington. It manages the Link Light Rail system in the Seattle and Tacoma Regional Sounder Commuter Rail and the Sound Transit Express bus service. The agency also coordinates the regional Orca fare card system, which is used by local transit operators. In 2019, the transit services carried a total 48 million passengers and averaged over 161,000 riders on a weekday. That's right. Go over to their website, soundtransit.org. And remember, ride the wave. Buses.
That's a good one. It's a great sponsor right there.
Go Seahawks, I guess they would probably say. Go Mariners. I don't know. If there's nothing else, we can get into things. So that last play, somehow I had this game on at work, and the game was ending, and I didn't watch it. I saw the replay, but I'm like, the game was over, and I'm like, oh, I could have seen that, because they had it as bonus coverage in my area. It wasn't the game that was on TV, but they put it on as bonus coverage, which is probably the same way for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I watched it and thought it was a good play. Good for the Redskins. You don't normally see them making good plays, so it was kind of weird. And of course, they were wearing black, so it was just, bizarre. Like my mind really couldn't make heads or tails of it without being very intellectual. But there was some strong talent there, but there was also some luck, I thought. What was your impression of that? Was it just lucky?
I think it absolutely was lucky. I mean, it was a hell of a throw. I mean, Jane Daniels just absolutely launched it. But, he's throwing it up for grabs.
It was a good throw. It bounced. It kind of bobbled it into the arms of former wide receiver and tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, Noah Brown, who obviously has gone on to other things. They also have oh, no, I was thinking of somebody else. I was going to say, like, they have like they have almost like a fake Dallas Cowboys situation there with their head coach, Quinn there. But all right, this is from Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. The NFL players have hearts of steel, also muscles, adipose tissue, blood, and iron, and every so often brains of concrete. Ooh. I like how this guy that probably will make more than one spelling error in this article is going to talk about how these players are dumb. How else do you explain how some of the finest athletes in the world make some of the most ridiculous mistakes in sports? Well, I wouldn't say that it's an intellect thing. I wouldn't say that their brains are made of concrete. I would say that things are happening fast, and how fast can you respond? And every situation is not something that you expect. I mean, so there you go. How do you prepare for something that could be anything? The ball snapped, and literally anything can happen. Anyway, we saw a classic mental misfire on Sunday as Chicago completely botched its way right out of a nearly guaranteed win against Washington. A play so mind-numbingly stupid got us all wondering, is it the dumbest play in NFL history? We know that it's not, because you were just doing this before the show. It was Colts, Patriots, the Griff Whalen lining up as a center for no reason play that you can just Google Colts, Patriots, dumbest NFL play in history. They'll break it all down on YouTube for you. Pat McAfee will break it down. Basically, they wanted to get the Patriots offsides. So guy goes up, and his name's Griff Whalen, I think, and he's normally a safety or something. It's not his job to snap the ball, and he goes out there.
He's like a backup.
He's a backup guy, and then there's a punter standing behind him who's going to receive the ball, and it's obvious he's not going to kick it, and he's not going to throw it. And then every other single person on the team is all lined up on the right-hand side, which is not what you would do, right? So everyone in the Patriots knows, well, the ball's over here, guys. What are you doing over there? You guys are automatically not relevant to this play, because we are going to just kill this guy over here with the ball. We're going to kill him. And sure enough, the ball snapped, and then they kill him for a loss. And it's just and I believe, was that a fourth down or was that a third down? I think it was a fourth down.
I believe it was a fourth down.
So it was a turnover on downs at that point. So it was just the worst special teams play in history. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because Keith was watching it before the show, and it's one of my favorite breakdowns of a play. Anyway, let's consider some of the most boneheaded maneuvers the league has ever seen. In this case, we're focusing on intentional moves, both on and off the field. They were horribly wrong, not regular gameplay. They ended up looking ridiculous. So we're going to get rid of the butt fumble, the miracle of the Meadowlands, which is also an interesting play. The Orlovsky safety, where he just doesn't even know what the hell he's doing and starts accidentally leaving the stadium with the ball in his hands during a play. I've always loved it. Or Dan Orlovsky getting on TV and criticizing anyone after that. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
because like he clearly had no idea where he was at on the field. He just runs into the end zone and then runs out of bounds. Like no one even tackles him. He runs out of bounds in the end zone for a safety. Easiest 2 points ever scored in NFL history. There's all these other plays, but I remember. Do you have a favorite play? Like one of mine is like the Jim Marshall running the wrong way with the ball. I don't know if you remember that.
Vaguely.
1964, San Francisco's Billy Kilmer fumbled the ball. Minnesota's Jim Marshall ended up with it. He recovered the fumble, and he'd gotten all turnaround.
Oh yeah.
And then he ran 66 yards into the wrong direction. And everyone's telling him, stop, turn around, stop. He thinks he's scoring a touchdown for the Vikings. He scores a safety for the 49ers. The Vikings went on and won anyway. Do you remember when Kirk Cousins needed to spike the ball to stop the clock and he kneeled it instead and ran up the half?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Oopsie.
Leon Lett has 2 entries here.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember that one.
That's one I remember. Him running and then just getting swatted out. Like the 3.
Yeah, Leon Lett, who would go on to be a coach for the Cowboys in recent years, because Jerry Jones doesn't let anyone in his orbit ever leave his orbit. They were he had recovered a fumble and he was running towards the end zone with 10 yards remaining. He began watching himself on the Jumbotron and he was celebrating, only to have Buffalo's Don Beebe catch up to him and knock the ball out of his hands in the last second. He was holding the ball out to his side, which that play really had to make you respect Don Beebe because he was a guy that just never, ever, ever gave up because it really looked like Leon Lett was going to run it in.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, there was one, his blocked, the blocked field goal attempt. 15 seconds remaining. Leading by a score of 14-13, Dallas blocked a Miami field goal attempt. I think this was on Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure I was watching. The ball squirted harmlessly away onto a snowy field. Lett attempted to recover it, which he should not have done. If the ball had just dropped and he had not touched it, it would have been a dead ball. But because he touched it, it became a live ball. And so all of a sudden, he's throwing himself around in the snow trying to recover this, what eventually became a fumble because he touched it. Miami recovered it, which was a first down for them. So then they were able to attempt a field goal or whatever. And then, so because Lett touched the ball, the Dolphins won. I don't know. That I would have to say that probably my favorite one was Pat McAfee's worst play. So go out there and check that out. Otherwise, just watch the play from this past week, and I'm not sure what the Bears did that was so terribly wrong, other than just
no. Part of it why it's so egregious is I think his name.
There were holding penalties.
Tyreek Stevenson is running down the field, taunting the Washington Commander or the Redskins fans, and that was his guy to be covering. And Daniels was able to scramble away and launch it in the air, and there were Bears fans like pointing like, hey, you still got a play happening over here. And he's the one that batted the ball up instead of batting it down. But that's why. It's because he was kind of lollygagging down the field, taunting the fans while the play was actually still going on.
Oh, that's one guy's mental error. I don't know. But I guess you could say Leon Lett was committing those mental errors. But he was taunting them, and then they tipped the ball right into the Noah receiver's hands. That's karma for you, I guess, according to Yahoo Sports. And then your own fans are telling you to pay attention to the game. I bet he's pretty embarrassed.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know if I would call that a big deal. I'm not sure that they're calling it the failed Barry, but I'm guessing that that's something that won't even stick as a name. I don't think it'll really go down in history. I don't know. One man's opinion. I really wanted to talk more about Aaron Rodgers. Are you up for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the Aaron Rodgers led the Jets to their 5th straight loss against a division opponent this week. After last week begging everyone for a snowball of belief, like a little tiny snowball belief that he thought could turn into an avalanche of hope. Unfortunately, that snowball had a chance in hell of succeeding, as the Jets are headed towards a situation where, for all intents and purposes, they're basically eliminated from playoff contention. They're not going to win the division, not with the Bills still existing, but they could possibly get a playoff berth, a low playoff berth. But that could only happen if they start winning from here on out, and other teams start losing from here on out. So, but when the game against the Patriots ended, Aaron Rodgers walked off the field while the Jets lined up for one more play as time expired. The quarterback knew it was over, but the rest of the team was ready to keep playing. So they were inspired to keep going, but Aaron Rodgers sort of sauntered off. And I don't think he gave up by any means. But this is from Sports Illustrated. New England Patriots upset the New York Jets in Week 8 as Jacoby Brissett led a 12-play, 70-yard drive to take the lead with 22 seconds left remaining in the fourth quarter. What happened to Drake May? Did he get hurt?
I think they've been going back and forth. So they pulled Brissett a couple weeks ago, and then they put May in, and May did not play well. So then I think they went back to the drawing board.
Do you know the old phrase that if you have two quarterbacks, you don't really have a quarterback at all? You ever heard that?
I have heard that.
No, I'm the one that said it.
I just heard it from you.
Yeah, I just heard it from you. Do you know who said that? It was me. I just said it. Aren't you listening? Aaron Rodgers and the Jets were not left with much time after Garrett Wilson dropped a long pass on a first down, and there was no room for error. On second down, Rodgers completed a pass to Davante Adams for 16 yards. That's what they got him for. They got Davante Adams for 16 yards.
All right.
They didn't want to be throwing 60-yard long bombs to him in situations just like these that theoretically put them in Hail Mary range. Unfortunately, with no timeouts remaining, a theme for the Jets on Sunday. I think didn't they have problems with a timeout in the first quarter?
I don't remember.
I think they did. New York had to spike the ball to set up one more play. Then they ran out of time instead. Kind of like what happened to Kirk Cousins. Rodgers was clearly the first person in the Jets to realize they had run out of time because his teammates hustled to the line of scrimmage. The generally disgruntled quarterback peeled off and started walking towards the sideline. Obviously, he was right. The Jets had no chance to get into the playoff, but the image of Rodgers walking away as his teammates tried to do something is amusing. I think it's also very indicative of who he is. The team's is always ready for more, and the team stays together as a team on the field. Offensive line, they're obviously a specialized unit. Wide receivers, a specialized unit. Running backs. But the quarterback's just like, well, it's over. You're walking off. Not very inspiring leadership. You know what I mean? To just be leading while the team's still out there.
I literally just watched this clip that's in this article. They were showing there was 5 seconds left when the ball was caught, so that everybody started running up. But I don't think they're going to get a playoff anyway.
No, they weren't. But I mean, like, what does that mean? Like when?
But yeah, when you're walking, like with your arms all, head down, your arms, just
it has the emotional equivalent of throwing in the towel.
Right.
I'm watching it now. He throws it downfield. It's
because I didn't see it.
It's caught, but yeah, they don't have enough time. He kind of jogs down the field, and then on the ball, and then he's nowhere near them. Which is sad because he was jogging down there at one point, but honestly, like, just get down there and get behind the center. Show that you're with the team and that you're trying up to the last second. He gave up with 5 seconds left. Yes, there's no way for him to line up and get that ball snapped in time. Get the ball snapped and then have the ref blow it dead. But it's like at least you were doing everything you could as long as there were seconds on that board.
It's the image. It's the image.
It's the image of it. It doesn't look good. And I think when you're a leader, you can't be doing things like that. So I don't know. I just think that I think it was a terrible look, and at risk of being someone who doesn't exactly compliment Aaron Rodgers, I don't think it was good. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, he says that he's got a special concoction that he drinks that helps him feel energized and team-oriented. This is from ESPN. This is just for fun. But he touts cayenne pepper and water as part of his regimen. Would you drink cayenne pepper and water?
Absolutely not.
What would it do? So the New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers says he believes he's discovered a little fountain of youth. That it's nothing to sneeze at.
Couldn't
Or
be the
maybe-
ayahuasca.
Maybe it is. Do you have to mention that every week? Rodgers says he's drinking cayenne pepper and water, suggested by teammate Thomas Morstead. Rodgers, dealing with a hamstring, knee, and ankle injuries throughout the season, said he started drinking it before the Jets' Week 8 game. Just continued this in preparation for Thursday night against the Houston Texans at MetLife Stadium. I would say anything that Aaron Rodgers is doing, you should not do that. He just lost 5 straight games. I mean, maybe his hamstring doesn't hurt. Good for him. But does his pee hurt? Has anyone asked about his peppery pee?
It's like piss and razor blades.
Keith, you're the closest thing to a doctor we have on the show right now. Would the kidney filter all that out, or would you be in a true firefighting situation there? You could grab the hose.
I would have to think that that's not good for you. Some way, shape, or I don't know exactly how, but
If you think about it, though, if you go to Buffalo Wild Wings and you get the flaming hot wings, it's got cayenne pepper on it, and you're drinking water with it anyway. Like you know,
is it the same?
is it the same plus chicken? You know, like it's really just really, Aaron Rodgers is just denying himself some protein. It seems to me like he should just have some buffalo wings, and drink some water,
And just go to B-dubs. It's fine.
and you don't have to be so weird about it. You know what I mean? Because he's allowed to eat, like, chicken has like protein and fat in it. It's like really what his
I've
what his
never
diet
heard
should
of
be.
that.
In a short week, they've all got aching bodies. Rodgers 40 says he feels great. I'm sure it's not psychosomatic at all. Rodgers said he was not sure if it was all due to the new elixir. I don't know if you can call peppered water an elixir, by the way, but he made it part of his rehab regimen. Cayenne pepper and water can have several health benefits, including pain relief. Well, of course, it's relieving your pain because you're thinking about your fucking mouth being on fire. You're like, oh, my hamstring hurt before I made all the pain center in my mouth. I'm taking care of myself nonstop, except in the last 5 seconds of the game. Maybe that's why he walked away. Maybe he was actually like dealing with some pain, and he's just like, I'm not running down there for no reason. And then, like, he drinks some cayenne water. Wouldn't you hate it if you're someone that is on the sidelines and the water girl accidentally squirts the cayenne water into your mouth because it's Aaron Rodgers' bottle? Like they just go around squirting water into their mouths, sanitary that way, and then like the cayenne water accidentally gets swapped in, and you're just like, like you're just the wide receiver, or whatever. You just ran like 60 yards down the field. You're hot, you're tired. They squirted your mouth, and it's just like. It's like getting maced, I don't understand. I don't understand how like that could be good for you. His age to diminished mobility were noted by the Patriots defensive tackle Devon Godchaux, who told reporters after New England's 25-22 victory and said, a Hall of Fame quarterback. Hate to see him go out this way. Loser. Stupid.
Stupid loser.
He definitely didn't look the same shit. I could run him down and catch him. He didn't look mobile at all. Rodgers said he wasn't aware of those comments. That hurts. But he's probably right, Rodgers said. Yeah, I was hurting, but I feel better today. Had some quick healing.
Cayenne water.
Timo gave me a little fountain of youth, he said, of Morse said. He's been taking it for a while. All legal, of course. Maybe that's why I've been feeling a little bit better. Jets losers of 5 straight need to improve Rodgers to salvage the second half of the season. If nothing else, for ticket sales. A post-game speech on the team Sunday, he pressed a sense of urgency with a cool head. He was still able to express that things need to get better and things need to change and that they have got to do it together. There's no time for pointing fingers. Don't point fingers at me as I was leaving early to go for water. Anyway, just a sad situation in there. I would love to spend the entire episode talking about the Jets, but we have a lot to move on to. Unfortunately, the next topic on the table for discussion is my own team, which hurts as always. Jerry Jones needs to do something. The NFL trade line's approaching. Back in 2018, they were in a 3-4 hole, just like they are now, and they revived the season with a massive deal. That, of course, was the Amari Cooper deal. And just interesting side note, so they had gotten Amari Cooper back in 2018, which, if any of you are keeping score, was 6 years ago. They got it from the Las Vegas Raiders, who were still in Oakland at that time. They paid as much for him, and they traded as many picks for him as they did. Well, then they let his situation lapse. He went to the Browns, and now the Browns have let him go to Buffalo. And the amount of money and the amount of draft capital that they got for Amari Cooper, who is 6 years older, just shows what a chump Jerry Jones is, because Amari Cooper's value obviously went up because he was a tremendous trade deal for the Browns. Even 6 years later, just shows how bad Jerry Jones is at making deals. Let's recap the past 2 weeks for the Dallas Cowboys. This, according to Yahoo Sports, the pinnacle of sports reporting. At home at 47-9 by the Detroit Lions. Jerry Jones went from threatening to fire the host on the team's flagship radio station 1 week to throwing head coach Mike McCarthy's offensive scheme under the bus the next week. Quarterback Dak Prescott has continued to regress from his MVP year form in 2023 with one of his worst back-to-back performances in years. A fully paddled up quarterback, Trevon Diggs, confronted media members outside the locker room following Sunday's 30-24 defeat to the Niners, which reporters getting his goat just to improve their own visibility really made me mad. Diggs was falling for it. He was upset about a tweet that questioned his play. It was a play in which, coverage was broken. A 49er guy was able to run way far down the field. Big play, big chunk play for the 49ers. But Diggs was able to tackle him before he scored a touchdown. So what you take away from that is like, okay, broken coverage, but a cornerback who doesn't give up, a cornerback that chases a guy down and knocks him out of bounds and saves the touchdown. The next play is not going to be his fault with regard to what just happened on that play. Right? The defense just gave up a huge amount of area they were trying to cover. That I'm sure the 49ers scored a touchdown on that drive, but at least on that play, when it was up to him, like Don Beebe, he stopped it from happening. And instead, there's tweets going out in the middle of the game about, what was Trevon Diggs doing in that play. And of course, Dallas is just into the most difficult part of its schedule. I think the rest of their schedule is fucking hard. I don't think there's any easy games coming up. Why can't we play Jacksonville? Right? Play them twice. That would be nice. The team's spiraling. If this isn't a 5-alarm fire, screaming for a shakeup. And the fans, by the way, I've sent Kiefer a couple articles this week from an article, blog, news thing called The Landry Hat, which is obviously being run by Cowboys fans for Cowboys fans. And they're fed up. You think you're watching me and you're seeing me on the show, and you're seeing someone who's a sour grapes person. You don't know about me is I've just spent the last 40 years being positive, even in years like this. And in 2018, I wasn't negative about that year. I knew it was bad, but I had some sort of belief or hope that we were going to have a winning season. Right now, I don't believe we're going to have a winning season. The situation now is more dire than it was in 2018. And I have never been this mad at the Cowboys organization. So I don't know how to tell you that. I don't know how to show this to you other than to just explain to you that this is how it is. I'm not a bad fan. I've never had this attitude about the Cowboys before. This is new. You're just catching me at my worst, illegal. I didn't for the past 27 years, I didn't have a podcast about it. So I couldn't talk about it. So I'm sure if you're watching me and you're trying to wonder what kind of fan I am, you think that I'm probably a fickle fan or some kind of bandwagoner, which wouldn't even make sense because what have the Cowboys had to bandwagon on? But all I can tell you is that I've been a good fan. I've been cheering them on even when they're at their worst. I've always been optimistic, and I'm not this year. Anyway, this feels like 2018 all over again, only worse, I would add. That's when the Cowboys were 3-4 coming off a loss to the mediocre Washington team and looking like they were on the verge of nosing down into an abyss. The only difference between 2018 and now is that Prescott was actually playing cleaner football 6 years ago. Our running game was also better back then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jones wasn't wound nearly as tight as he is now, and the atmosphere around the team wasn't as suffocating as the current environment. The 18 Cowboys were at least bold enough to understand that a big swing was needed to salvage the season. I don't think he wants to salvage the season, though. I think that he feels mad that he just paid Dak and Lamb all this money, and now he's just like, well, fuck it. I'm not spending any more money on anyone. And I don't know why he feels that way. There is cap room. There is trade deals to be done. Plus, it's not like the money actually comes out of his pocket. The Dallas Cowboys are a corporation of billions and billions of dollars. He has so much money. spend it for the rest of his life if you went out and bought a jet every day. Why aren't we making some sort of deal with the collapsing Miami Dolphins for Raheem Mostert? They don't need him. They should be giving snaps to their other running back anyway, and us bringing in some other running back, which you saw Dalvin Cook had snaps this last week against the 49ers. Again, also kind of run down guy like Ezekiel Elliott. Nothing wrong with that. I would have loved to have Dalvin Cook in his prime. He was Cook and Elliott obviously were probably the best.
Yeah.
In the league when they were at the top of their game, but they're not anymore. You might as well get Raheem Mostert. Do something. I feel like Jerry Jones is a dead body in the woods. Poking him with a stick. Like, is he alive? You know. So we're back in the familiar trench of mediocrity, facing a season starting to get away from us, needing to make a move that get us back on track. In 2018, the answer to that problem was aggressive and exciting. More importantly, it was actually fruitful, the acquisition of the then 24-year-old wideout Amari Cooper from the Raiders. A star player in a funk who needed a change of scenery. He credits Dak Prescott with salvaging his career. I don't know if you're aware of that. The memory of the moment has surely faded or been tainted in the minds of Cowboys fans. After all, Cooper was never able to help Dallas break through to a Super Bowl. I did watch Amari Cooper play a game in person. I watched him play for the Cowboys against the Minnesota Vikings on Halloween, a game which Dak Prescott was out and Cooper Rush was in. Cooper Rush threw to Amari Cooper, Cooper to Cooper, right at the end zone in the corner where I was, and I got to watch that play. I got to watch him win, and it was amazing. Great moment for me watching Vikings fans who were talking big shit before the game about how they were going to win because Dak Prescott was out of the game. And I said in the bathroom of all places that we're going to beat you with our backup. And then like all the Vikings fans around me, like, we're in the bathroom. We can kill you here. No, there won't be any footage of it, you idiots. So I'm like, I got to get out an adult. I got to get out of here, you know? A little bit of a scary situation. Don't talk shit in the bathroom of US Bank Stadium. Just so you know. But those of us who remember it accurately know this acquisition played a significant part of jump-starting the Cowboys 6 years ago. Prescott badly needed a weapon to help him turn a corner because he never had chemistry with Des Bryant for some reason. Cooper was precisely the piece that helped make it happen. The 3-4 Cowboys finished the season on a 7-2 run, winning the NFC East and beating the Seahawks in the playoffs before falling to the Rams, which were going to go to the Super Bowl anyway. Cooper was a significant part of that, catching 53 passes. He energized the team when we badly needed it, put that adrenaline shot in there. He came at a cost of a first-round draft pick. That selection ended up being 27th overall in 2019. And the Raiders used it on safety Jonathan Abram, who had his fifth-year option declined and never got a second contract with the franchise. So good for us, bad for the Raiders. That's a good deal. Until we saw what Cooper was worth later. The price tag for the Cowboys, especially given the quality of his production, including being a significant part of 2 playoff teams in his 3.5 seasons with the team. So he was a good deal for us to get, but what we got from the Browns for him was not that good. In addition, snapshot in time, because it most accurately mirrors what is happening in Dallas right now. Its defense is stagnating under the weight of injured playmakers. Its offense is completely imbalanced and one-dimensional, thanks to a skill position basket of wideout CeeDee Lamb and its collection of loose parts. Simply put, it's lacking. It's lacking a veteran running back like Derrick Henry. Remember last week when I talked all about that?
Mm-hmm.
It's lacking a promising young wideout like Lad McConkey or Keon Coleman. Both of them were drafted on the draft board when Dallas took offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. Most of all, it's lacking imagination and dimension. It's a faded, sun-bleached, and weather copy of the Dallas Cowboys offense in 2023, which at least felt threatening and at times explosive. Last year, our team was good. That's what you don't remember. Our team was actually great last year. I had hope last year. I think
so much of that is overshadowed. So much of that shit's overshadowed from last year with the offseason stuff and trying to sign Dak and CD, and nobody remembers that shit because the controversy all offseason, just completely overpowered that. And then they come out, they make these big deals, and then they come out and they're so flat that fans like you, you get pissed. You're like, you just made these fucking moves.
I didn't even expect it to be this bad. Like, you go back through the illegal shift records.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that, like, after the Packers loss and them doing nothing and me knowing Jerry Jones wouldn't do anything, I said, next year's going to be terrible, especially when Dan Quinn went to the Redskins. But I had no idea it was going to be
The level that
this
it is.
bad. And the way they describe it as CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of loose parts is pretty accurate. It used to be that, we had Amari Cooper and we had a collection of other wide receivers who could do pretty well. Michael Gallup had his moments, other guys, but there's really nobody out there that's, I guess maybe Jake Ferguson, the tight end. He's like probably the best tight end we've had since Jason Witten retired, but he's not Jason Witten either. And I'm not giving up on him. Like, I think that he has a chance to have a great career, and I'm hoping that he does. But the situation there.
Well, the Bengals are going through the exact same thing, John, and it's frustrating because on paper, I mean, everything's there.
Yeah.
And then when comes Sunday or Monday night or Thursday night, the execution didn't even get off the fucking bus.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard Doug Peterson mention this down in Jacksonville, but he's just like, well, the coaches we can't go out there and execute the plays. Where basically the coaches are throwing the players under the bus in front of the press, which is not a nice thing to do. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's like the players are going out there. They're being taught how to play football and how to succeed in the system that you design and how to do the plays that you've drawn up on the drawing board. And they're tremendously talented, the most talented athletes in the world, even down in Jacksonville. And if they can't do it, it's because of poor coaching. It's not because their bodies are physically incapable of doing it. It's not because their brains are made of concrete, like Yahoo Sports would say. It's your fault, Doug Peterson. So maybe be a leader and take the blame and says, I've got tremendously talented guys out there. And I think I've got a good plan. And we need to find a way to make my plan and our players meet together more cohesively. Say that. That way it's just like you're admitting that they're not getting the plays done, but you're also complimenting them. And you're saying it's your job to make their talent meet your ideas for success. That's the whole idea. But he's out there just saying, yeah, we can't. It's, the coaching staff, what do you expect us to do? You expect us to suit up and go out there? It was a terrible thing to say. Anyway, so now we're in a scenario where Jones has to do something. The natural inclination of the fan base is to subtract, which is understandable. Yeah, I feel like the whole team should be for sale. I feel like almost every single piece, obviously not Dak, not Lamb, because we just paid money for them, unless you want to get into a real deep conversation. I feel like every other piece should be, if somebody needs something, like let's start trading for draft picks. Like let's do what the Rams did, where we just basically sell off the team.
Yeah, you buy a Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, but I mean, why not?
It's business. No, I'm not bitching about it. I'm just saying, like, that's. I know you.
I know you're still especially mad about that because that was the year the Bengals were in the Super Bowl. But I'm just saying, like, case in point, it gets you there. It gets you past the NFC Championship game, and that's something that we haven't done since '95. So if Jerry Jones is an excellent business person, he has to have been watching the Rams. I know that he always has a win now mentality, and I'll break it down to you why it is. It's not because he's a competitive guy. It's not because he's a football guy. It's because if the Cowboys are seen as tanking, if we are seen as giving up, if we're seen as being for sale, the standing that the Cowboys have in the media will fail. Do you remember that game that got flexed out for a Browns game a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that had to be really irritating to Jerry Jones because for him it's all about image. It's all about America's team. I actually sent an article to you earlier in the week that I wish I still had. I didn't look it up like I said I would, just because there's so many other things. But the players during their bye week, they had an alumni week where all these old players came back and they came back to the Cowboys stadium and they went through, and some of these guys got to Twitter and they said, they were talking about how the Cowboys is all about how toxic their culture is, how it's about glitz and glamour. And Tony Pollard, who was our big running back last year, who's probably a major piece of why we're suffering now that he's gone. But he's with the Titans. He goes, like, I like being here. It's just about football here. It's not about anything else here. It's about X's and O's. And Dorrance Armstrong and some of these other players who have gone onto the other teams, they like playing football for other teams. Someone else said at one point that, like, you could be doing your workouts in the Cowboy Stadium and, like, tour groups will come by and wave hi to you while you're working out, which is like distracting and like you feel like you're in a zoo, like it's really about celebrity status when you play for the Cowboys. And that's a toxic culture for football. And Jerry Jones wants the team to have that celebrity status. They want to have six games on Sunday Night Football on NBC. That's what he wants. But if the Cowboys are seen as throwing in the towel, as seen as tanking and collecting draft capital, he knows that games like the one that we're having, we're going to talk about this one a little bit, the game that you and I are looking forward to, the Monday Night Football game is very likely to be rescheduled. Flex scheduling, we're going to end up playing a bunch of noon games as the season ends. And that he doesn't want that, because for him, it's about building brand. It's not about winning the Super Bowl. He would. That's why Jason Garrett was around for so many years, going 8-8, because that was acceptable. You couldn't say that the Cowboys were losers going 8-8. We were just meh, right down the line. And just with the excitement that he could manage as a brand manager, that was enough. The Cowboys could be 8-8, and we could still be America's team. He wants to be America's team. He doesn't realize it's costing us Super Bowls, that it's costing us the conversation. Well, it should be the Patriots, or it should be the 49ers. I don't know which team it would be other than the Cowboys.
Well, you and I have talked many times on the ego that Jerry Jones has.
Oh my God. I know, but it's to the point now where it's like you want a cocky guy running the team. You don't want somebody who's meek doing it. Like, so ego belongs in his position, but it's overriding intelligence at this point.
Mm-hmm. And that's usually how it works. People let their egos get in the way.
I know.
Of, conscious thought. So he wants to stay up here so bad, but he's failing so bad. So now at this point, he's a big conundrum of bullshit, essentially. And he doesn't know how to right the ship.
Pangs of emotion scream to fire McCarthy or his coordinators, but that's just anger speaking. The only way out, if we fire McCarthy, we're not going to do anything. I mean, look at the Jets. They just fired their head coach. It didn't help them. Saleh every single week. We're not sure. They need to add something, maybe something big, but at the very least, something that can help. It doesn't matter which side of the football we're talking about. There's significant issues over the roster. Additional talent is needed. That November 5 trade line deadline is coming like a freight train. And is that also the day of the election? Can we have a bigger day? Just all? Is it November 5? Is that election day as well?
Yes.
I believe it is.
It is.
God, Roger Goodell, why do you do this to us? All day long, we're going to be watching the polls, who's getting electoral votes. And then you and I are going to be like, oh my God, is Dallas going to pick up Raheem Mostert? Like, it's too much stress for one day.
I'm in a glass cage of emotion.
Anyway, so we could talk about who they could pick up there. We could go into all kinds of talk about salary cap space. These are some things that they think that they should pick up. The New York Jets have offensive line depth. Cornerback DJ Reed, they could pick up him if you need a corner. Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. Everybody for the Saints should be ready to go.
How long has Lattimore been in the league?
Right. Like the Saints have all these players. They've got to be the oldest team in the league because they're like Alvin Kamara just got signed to like a 10-year extension. You're just like, you have already been playing for 30 years. And Marshawn Lattimore has been around forever too.
He's 28 years old. Hold on. But yeah,
he's been around for a while.
He's been around. So it's like, all right, so what are you replacing? He's been in 8 years. Chase
Young, Carolina Panthers, also a team that should be for sale. We should be able to pick up somebody from that team. Adam Thielen, I would be happy to have him. Just because he's, kind of like Dalvin Cook. He had his heyday with the Vikings. Deontay Johnson, wide receiver from Baltimore. Miles Sanders, a running back. Also, Titans are supposedly done trading. Jeffrey Simmons, maybe. I don't know. Anybody else that you could think of who might go to the Cowboys? Yeah, I mean, those names were not big names, but I mean, there's something.
The thing is, a lot of them used to be big names.
Yeah, I think that's the situation we're in. All right. I got to move on. I can't keep talking about this. So, Jameis Winston is exactly the answer to the Browns' problem. The Browns looked like to be in a situation worse than the Cowboys last week. They have Deshaun Watson deal, which is like franchise breaking for years, almost as bad as the Jets. I don't know which is worse, Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson.
Ooh, Deshaun Watson.
You think so? Just because he was
I
more
do.
expensive and because of the touching?
I think all of it. I think he's just a gross human being.
I'm going to talk to you about that off the air. Anyway, Browns wins because of despite Jameis Winston. This comes from Defector, which I don't know what it is, but the color of the webpage makes me think that it's a Cleveland Browns website. This is by Patrick Redford. Browns win because of and despite Jameis Winston. That sounds exactly like Jameis Winston, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like at one point, he had as many interceptions as he did touchdown passes. Like he's perfectly like somehow he has this bizarre Thanos-like equilibrium about his play. But
his OCD kicks in. He's got more touchdowns, so he just intentionally starts throwing picks.
yeah.
I need my stats to match.
Anyway, there's a picture of him taking a selfie here during the game, which you have to wonder what he's thinking. Cleveland Browns snapped their five-game losing streak on Sunday, upsetting the Ravens of all teams, top dogs in the NFL.
Absolutely shocked me.
Dog pound took him down. Well, neither one of us called that game. Their first game since quarterback Deshaun Watson tore his Achilles tendon. When fans found out that Deshaun Watson had his Achilles tendon torn and that the Browns beat the Ravens, they set about to find Deshaun Watson to tear more of his tendons so that he could never return. Beating the best team in the division, possibly the league, immediately after losing the quarterback they're paying $46 million to per season, the mega contract with 2 more years on it, to which the Browns signed Watson after 22 massage therapists. I didn't know it was 22. I thought it was 1 this whole time. God damn it.
See, and now you want to talk to me.
Learn about Deshaun Watson, damn it. 22 massage therapists.
You've said a couple things. You've said a couple things. And I'm like, the fuck is he talking about?
Was I just too nice to Deshaun Watson?
Apparently.
When I compared it to Robert Kraft, who got apparently just one rub and tug.
Yeah, he's got multiple lawsuits against him.
At some point, I knew this, and I just didn't care about Deshaun Watson. And I'm 40, so and I got all this Cowboys angst to think about, so I wasn't thinking about him. We should do a whole, since this is apparently a criminal situation and illegal shift. At least it's failure to stop crime stuff. This is our last week on failure to stop. We should have done it this week, but we should have done like a whole criminal breakdown on Deshaun Watson. Maybe we still can. We could do it in the offseason.
Yeah.
Watson, after 22 massage therapists had already filed sexual assault lawsuits against him. It's a pretty funny result for a rotten organization, although even as it befits the Browns, even their triumph was weird and off-putting. They got the full strength Jameis Winston experience, complete with LASIK, as the vet threw his team into and nearly out of a big win. A week ago, Winston seemed unlikely to see the field this season. The Browns demoted him to emergency quarterback and listed him as inactive before their Week 7 game against the Bengals, only for emergency to strike. Not only did Watson tear his Achilles, but backup Dorian Thompson-Robinson hurt a finger on his throwing hand after playing 2 god-awful quarters in Watson's stead. So the Browns activated Winston and became the first team in the 16 years to have 3 different players attempt double-digit passers in the same game. Winston earned the start this week and instantly cut a weird promo before the game. Looking directly to the broadcast cameras, he touted his unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord. He echoed similar sentiments in his signature lacrimal pregame hype speech to his team. I don't know that word. You know that word?
I don't.
It's bad when neither one of us knows it, but good for you, defector.com, for knowing words I don't know. I'm going to look that up later. In his 5-ish seasons as a starting quarterback for the Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints, Winston showed that his rocket arm strength is matched by his inability to figure out which team to throw to. Orange or white, I don't know. When the producer of the century's only 30 interception season so far says something like, I am certain that when I am making great decisions one play at a time, I'm a great NFL quarterback. He is mostly correct. But the word when in that sentence is like a single 2x4 supporting the weight of a rhinoceros. In Sunday's game against the Ravens, this article's very well written. In Sunday's game against the Ravens, Winston was unleashed, which is to his credit. He truly went for it, setting a franchise debut record with 334 yards in his first start in 25 months and first as a Cleveland Brown. He completed 8 passes that traveled at least 15 yards in the air, one shy of the total number of such passes Watson completed in his previous 7 games put together, including 2 for 4 scores. His best throw was his last, a 38-yard bomb to Cedric Tillman for what proved to be a game-winning touchdown. Naturally, his worst throw preceded it, as he threw a pass directly to Ravens safety Kyle Hamilton that should have ended the game, had Hamilton not unexpectedly or inexplicably dropped it. He wasn't the only Ravens defensive back to let Winston off the hook. Winston's first drive was a great microcosm for his day. He completed 4 passes of more than 10 yards, but the Browns' first play inside the red zone, he utilized something like 5 full seconds and 15 yards to open up the field, won by a play fake to stand perfectly still and deliver a strike to Ravens safety Eddie Jackson, who dropped it, prompting a member of the broadcast commentary crew to say, "I really have no idea where Jameis was throwing. Am I on the purple team?" You know, something outrageous has happened at the post-game story of the team's official website concerns a ton of quotes from defensive backs about they have to be better about catching the ball.
No.
Yeah, the team that lost, like the cornerbacks are like, I just got to do better. They're throwing it right to me. I just have to do better about catching the ball.
Don't throw it to stone hands.
Winston was characteristically rehearsed and corny after the win, quoting Eminem in debuting a new way to pronounce the word possibly in a performance style correctly described as the Athletics' David Ubben as shooting a scene where he's rehearsed 100 times for a movie that is not being made.
Oh my God.
Do you think he'll be ready to win the Super Bowl? Like, let's face it, it happened with Nick Foles, which nothing against him, but he was a backup, you know. And he went out there and beat Tom Brady, and it's just like, did you think he had a speech plan or a moment plan? I think Jameis Winston has that moment plan. The Browns winning immediately after Watson's injury could make for something like an opening chapter of a feel-good story if Winston, with his own history of sexual misconduct allegations. Oh no, Jameis. We're not a piss poor redemptive figure, and the Browns organization not so floridly undeserving. The best you can hope for is comedy, and with cause for optimism. After all, not every opposing defensive back is going to drop those easy picks. So good job to Jameis Winston. He actually, his win and changing things around there in Cleveland has caused me to change the way that I am looking at my picks this week. So speaking of the Ravens, Joe Flacco is back. I don't know if you remember Flacco, but I believe he won the Super Bowl with the Ravens, didn't he?
He did.
I remember at one point,
I like Joe Flacco.
I think this was during your Super Bowl. But at one point, commentary before the game, they're like, so many great players named Joe have won the Super Bowl. Joe Namath, Joe Montana. They named some other guy. But they didn't say Joe Flacco. This was during his season where he wasn't with the team. And, you know, he's just got to be sitting at home, like, watching the Super Bowl, just like, what about Joe Flacco? And
He's on the couch. He's beating his kids now because they're not talking about him. Go get Daddy a beer now.
Anyway, I thought it was sad that no one had mentioned that Joe Flacco had done that before. And it's amazing because I remember I was watching a game recently. It was Steelers-Jets. And it was like, you know, and I mentioned this last week, I think, but Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, you know, they were the great players of 10 years ago. They were absolutely top of the NFC. And now you got Joe Flacco, who is a guy in a big guy in a weakened AFC back when it was Tom Brady or nobody. You had Joe Flacco back in that day. Ben Roethlisberger, I guess. Peyton Manning, I guess. But Joe Flacco was in there. He was in that conversation. And he got forgotten about until last year when he also came back and played for the Cleveland Browns and balled out and took them to the playoffs. They ended up having a terrible loss against the Houston Texans, who were resurgent with C.J. Stroud. Can you even say resurgent Texans, though? Because they've never been surgent before.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I mean,
surging. They were surging, throbbing, pulsing, veins standing out. Anyway, Joe Flacco took the Browns. He at least got them to the playoffs. They lost to the Texans. Too bad. But now he's back. The Colts bench, quote, tired Anthony Richardson for Joe Flacco at a quarterback shocker. That's right. Anthony Richardson, 22 years old, says, I'm tired. Eat a Snickers. What are you doing? Don't tell anyone you're tired. Indianapolis is benching the number 4 pick of the 2023 draft for veteran Joe Flacco following a much scrutinized performance in Week 8 against the Texans. This, of course, comes from the New York Post, the pinnacle of sports reporting as well. The Colts, 4-4, are in a playoff race. We clearly believe that Flacco, 39, he's almost as old as me, and he's not tired. I'm tired right now. Flacco gives him a better chance to complete the year, starting with Sunday's primetime road game against the Vikings. Richardson, 22, is coming off of a dreadful 10-for-32 performance and a 23-20 loss to the Texans in Week 8. They included him asking out for one play because he felt tired. Now, you had big thoughts on that, Keith.
I think he's a piece of shit. Those are the big thoughts. That is your job. You are a professional athlete. You are supposed to be the leader of that team as the quarterback. And you come walking off the sideline, tapping your helmet, which means I'm tired. You see wide receivers and shit do it, but they've ran up and down the field, back and forth multiple times, multiple series. And this piece of shit wants to, I'm tired. Okay, yeah, let the old man go in and show you how it's done. And you take your what was it? What did you say, number 4, the 4th draft pick?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. You take your 4th draft pick ass and sit on the bench. I mean, he's still getting paid, so it's not hurting him.
Yeah, I mean,
he wants to play. He's young. I mean, he does want to play, but dude, you cannot do that.
I don't think he realizes how tenuous position is. I don't know if he feels like because he was drafted or because he's just the clear starter at 22, or he believes that he has nothing to prove over Joe Flacco. But yeah, saying that you need to sit out a play because you're tired, not a good look.
I think he thinks he's bigger than what he is. I don't think he's that good of a quarterback.
Well, it's been hard because we haven't seen much of him. He's been injured, and we don't really know. And the Colts being 4-4, you can't. Your situation at 4-4 is tenuous. All I would say is I would point you at Bryce Young.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I get that the Panthers are a different organization and they're in a different place, but it didn't matter where Bryce Young got drafted. He got, 2 weeks, and he got benched, and now Andy Dalton's down there red rifling again.
Yeah.
That can happen to you, dude. Your job's never safe as the starting quarterback unless, until you win the Super Bowl. So until you're somebody like Joe Flacco. I don't think Joe Flacco ever got benched by the Ravens. I would have to double check because I'm not a Ravens fan, but I don't think he ever got to that point. I don't think Joe Flacco ever said he was tired either. Mm-mm. Second-year quarterback told reporters he removed himself from the game in the third quarter while facing a 3rd and goal. Oh my gosh. 3rd and goal? You don't want a chance to throw for a touchdown?
This is what I'm saying. Fuck this guy.
Every quarterback wants stats. They want passing touchdowns. That's a huge stat. That impacts your bottom line.
Yes.
When someone's analyzing you, should we get this guy for our team? When the Colts are done with you or whatever, or how much should the Colts pay you? They're going to look at your numbers. And you having a chance to score a touchdown against your division rivals on 3rd and goal, meaning this is essentially your last chance to do it too, because you're not doing it on 4th. Most of the time you're going to kick a field goal. Your last chance, and you're out. And he says, tired ain't gonna lie. All right. I was more forgiving than you. I'm like, he's just a dumb kid. He doesn't know what he's doing or saying. But yeah, I didn't know that it was 3rd and goal.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that, if Dak Prescott was in a 3rd and goal situation and we're playing the Eagles and he left and he said, I'm tired, and that put in Cooper Rush to go in and take his place, I'd have been furious. Who's the backup in Cincinnati?
Jake Browning.
Oh, yeah, he does a good job, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But you'd still be mad, right, if it was the Steelers and Jake Browning had to go out there because Joe Burrow was tired for a play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Richardson had to run a decent amount on the previous play while being sacked. That was a lot of running I did right there, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do that next play, Richardson said. So I just told head coach Shane Steichen I needed a break right there. Asking out is a bad look, and it's unknown whether that influenced the decision, but Richardson certainly didn't help himself in a sport that values toughness. I think that we have gotten rid of toughness in football.
Yeah, well,
I
and
think
it's exactly where I was going to go. What's your conditioning level? You are a top tier athlete.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to run and do all the things that you have to do. I mean, you don't play both ways.
Right.
Does he not realize there were once NFL players who played in both directions, who would go out there and they would play halfback and then they would play linebacker? They would go and they would do both of those.
Mm-hmm.
They played 60 minutes of football
With no breaks.
and without excellent nutrition. They were like boiling hot dogs for lunch. And they were told not to drink water because it was a sign of weakness.
They would drink beers.
They drank beers, for the love of God. Bobby Lane used to go in at halftime and pound a 6-pack of beers, which admittedly probably just made him tougher. But anyway.
And I agree with Marine's Blood in the comments. He said that's most of life. We need male toughness, which is.
We need male toughness. But I want to open up a conversation, maybe just a brief one, just like with everything we're doing, we're getting rid of the hip drop tackle, getting rid of all these forms of contact, roughing the passer. Have we produced an NFL in the last 20 years, particularly since the Brady, fumble, not a fumble play? Have we produced an NFL now where guys are getting drafted and coming into the league and thinking that they don't have to work hard?
Yeah, absolutely. You have guys that sit out. They sit out the optional training camps, and then they'll sit out actual training camp. And I'm sure some of them are working on the side, but they're not. It's not the same. I don't care what you say. It's not the same without you practicing with your team. And I know it's kind of going down a wormhole, but that's where it starts. And this Richardson kid. Is he not conditioning enough? Is that the problem? Which obviously it seems like it because it came straight out of his mouth.
What is he doing all week? Is he playing PlayStation instead of jogging? I mean, because it is just conditioning. Like even if you're out there huffing and puffing, your next play, it's 3rd and goal. You're not going to be running far on this play necessarily. Hopefully not. You're going to be throwing it into somebody in the end zone or handing it off. Like
you see Derrick Henry saying, "I'm tired, coach. I don't want to play this next play," where he put up 184 yards either last week or the week before. He's on the field the whole time the offense is running his ass off, blocking his ass off. He says he spends $250,000 on his body. Maybe Richardson needs to take a page out of his playbook.
Colts captain Ryan Kelly acknowledged that Richardson set himself up to be criticized. We had a conversation about it. I think he knows that that's not the standard he needs to play up to, and the rest of the team holds him to. Yeah, when he's out there, also he's being the leader, and he's saying, "I'm tired." That means any other player gets to tap their helmet at any time. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this one. Call another timeout, coach.
Wait till your offensive tackles do that, and you get crushed. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry,
I was
Anthony.
tired.
I was tired. My bad.
Honestly, after that, like he for the rest of the season, he should be taking shit from his O-line. Every time he gets sacked or he has to scramble, he can't walk up to that O-line saying, like, "Get your poop in a group, gentlemen. I need you to keep me a pocket that I can pass from." They can just turn him like, "We're tired," The fuck, dude? Like, I'm mad now because it's possible that everything's come too easily for him his entire life. I'm just guessing. Maybe he has worked hard. But, like, if you think that you could just walk away from an NFL player because you're tired, it's like, then you forgot everything that it took you to get there. Because What were you playing for all those years in high school and college? You were playing for a professional career. Well, here you are. You have one. You're the starting quarterback for the fucking Indianapolis Colts.
And my question is, did he
start for the same team that Johnny Unitas played for?
Right. Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. You have Peyton Manning's job.
Did he do that in college at all? I wonder.
I don't know.
Probably not, because he was competing for the job that he has now. But now all of a sudden, he can be a pansy. Oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I like hearing you mad.
It's
I'm just glad it's not at me. I'll kind of leave that conversation. We had all that. I know he's going to take some criticism for that, and rightfully so. That's a tough look. Richardson also made the decision possible by underwhelming the season. The former Florida star has completed just 44.4% of his passes, while throwing 4 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions. Richardson defenders will note that the tape doesn't always tell the story. If those stats are tough to defend, he had 41 rushes for 252 yards and 1 touchdown. The Colts have not topped 21 points in a game in which he played the majority of the snaps since week 1. The offense scores at season high points with Flacco under center. He has 0 Pro Bowls. All right. My faith is in Joe Flacco. He'll go out there and turn it around. And I'll just say, for Richardson, at least Joe Flacco has another chance to do something amazing again. Go out there and get a chance to prove himself. Turn a season around. Do what he did last year for the Browns and for a better team this year. I know that their conference rivals for you, but you could probably cheer for him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I like Joe Flacco. I always have.
Stefan Diggs is out with a torn ACL, meaning that the Buffalo Bills made an excellent decision. Anthony Richardson benched. Quarterback Jordan Love has a groin strain. I wonder if that was from the field or from the bed. I don't know. Patriots quarterback Drake May. Well, I'm just saying, that's something you would probably understand, either as a highly sexual being or as someone who responds to such injuries, Keith. Drake May out after a hit to the head. Those are some of the injuries this week. And
that Stefan Diggs injury put my shit fantasy team even further in the toilet.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that the Bills knew exactly when to cut bait with him. Tom Brady is being a 12-year-old. His girlfriend has moved on, and he doesn't know what to do. This from People magazine. The pinnacle of words on a fucking piece of paper. People magazine.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
I was going to say something to put down People magazine. This has to be like the least credible, the least important story of the week. Certainly, possibly of anything we've ever done. Tom Brady shares a sunset photo with Fleetwood Mac lyrics, which also shows how old he is. Hours after ex-Gisele Bündchen pregnancy news. Bündchen and Brady finalized their divorce in November of 2022, and they share 2 children. You got to remember, she cheated on him. And you know what causes that, Keith?
Infidelity.
Well, cheating is infidelity, but it's caused by emotional disconnection. When a man and when a husband disconnects from his wife emotionally, she feels no connection with him. She feels no desire for him. Enter, somebody like Antonio Brown, who can show her the love and attention that she so badly deserves. And anyway, sparks are going to fly. All right.
And
Tom
these
Brady.
are the days of our lives.
There's an old saying, Keith, if you don't date your wife, somebody else will. I'll just leave it at that. You're not married. You don't care. Tom Brady shared a new Instagram stories post amid news that his ex-wife, model Gisele Bündchen, is expecting her first child with her boyfriend, Joaquim Valente. Which, by the way, do you name a child Joaquim Valente? Do you just know that he's going to grow up being a sexy person? Do you name him that? So this is my son, Joaquim Valente.
You just wait. You just wait till he grows up.
You just wait until he's legal to have sex. He's going to be a sexy, sexy man. Just because of his name. It's like how, if you name your daughter Crystal Chandelier, she's going to be a stripper, You just know Joaquim Valente is going to be, he's going to have his picture on a package of butter at some point, On Monday, October 28, Brady, who was 47, posted a photo of a sunset. I wonder if it was the sunset where he was from his camera roll or if it was from Google, along with the Chicks cover of the classic Fleetwood Mac song Landslide. The lyrics, written by Stevie Nicks, reflect on feeling lost but finding one's way. Yeah, I don't have my wife and I don't have her child, which won't be mine. But I do get to hang out on Fox every Sunday and salivate over Dan Campbell. I can't imagine the stuff. He always... Pause. He's always talking about how much he loves football. In case of point, he had a commercial in which he appeared as all different versions of himself, saying, how people say you should quit, but you don't understand how much I love football. I'm never giving up on football. I love football so much. His life has to be so empty. And I honestly believe that it is. I honestly believe that he has a very, very, very empty life. The only good things that have come for him or have stayed for him, and this is his own fault, or football related. People kiss his ass and treat him like he's the greatest of all time. But what kind of a man is he? Do his children love him? Do they know him? Does he have a strong relationship with him?
I see him post pictures with his kids at like different events.
Okay,
like
so he has custody of them.
Doesn't mean he has to do stuff with them.
That what I'm talking about is a relationship with them, though. What is that like? So, are they more than a photo op for his social media? Like, what is his relationship with his kids like? And I don't know.
I'd like to try it for a week of being that empty with that type of bank account. I'm pretty sure I could. I could fill some voids.
But for how long? He's been doing this for since 2000. He's achieved everything he can achieve in football. There's nothing left for him to achieve. He doesn't even have the opportunity to achieve anything else. He can try his hand at broadcasting. We'll see.
Well, he's not like us. He's not normal people anymore. He's an empty soul that is just dollar signs in shoes, is what it is.
Yeah, and
he's been that way pretty much, since high school.
But what I'm getting at is that I pity him. He doesn't have anything in life that actually matters. His wife left him.
His dog hates him.
He's the kind of guy that his dog would hate him. You're exactly right. And it's because he makes his life all about himself and all about football. I would love for him to have a commercial. We're talking about how much he loves his family and how he is walking away from the game to be with his family. He did that at one point, but then he came back.
Right.
And I just think that his priorities are all wrong. And
we should have him on and discuss this. And
yes, you're invited on the show, Tom. We're gonna have an intervention on you. But Keith,
Tom, I wrote this letter. Please just let me finish it.
Yes, just let me get through it. You're really affecting my life. But Keith, in all seriousness, like you like sports, but your life's not all about sports. And you like being a fireman, but your life's not all about that. There's other aspects of your life that are important. There's other things that you think about. And it's not just beer. I know that you think that I'm getting on you for your beer or something, but it's like you're an actual full person with real things that
I'll just turn into a fucking intervention about me.
No, I'm complimenting you that you have aspects of your life that are real and something that no one can take away from you. Like at some point, Tom Brady can't play football anymore, but you have a life. And I don't think Tom Brady has a life because he's made his life about football, which is fun and interesting, but it's not something to make your life about, in my opinion. I don't know. Let's ask Joaquin Valente. On Monday, October 28th, he posted a photo with the song on there, which is exactly what, like a 14-year-old girl will do. Brady's post included 3 heart emojis in the lyrics. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child inside my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Brady did not post a fucking explanation for this childish bullshit. He and Boneshin finalized their divorce in 2022 after 13 years of marriage and agreed to joint custody of the children. His face makes me mad. He's clearly had plastic surgery. He looks like he's sucking in his cheeks at all times. Anyway, just him posting a thing and a picture and then, putting music to it. Don't get me wrong. I'm very artistic on my own Instagram. But if it was like something like this, I wouldn't be posting anything that was real or emotional. I like posting memes. Last story, because as usual, I need to check out your Instagram more. I need to see what you're posting. Do you post a lot of stuff to your Instagram?
I try to on a podcast stuff, but normally it's like a reminder of when, because we're a sporadic schedule. So
yeah,
I need to be more active on it.
Will you start posting emotional stuff?
I will.
I want to hear what's going on inside your heart.
Okay.
All right. Last story of the day, and saved this story because it's fucking embarrassing. This is from the Hollywood Reporter, which is like just as good as People Magazine. But ESPN and Disney Plus are to stream a live NFL game set in the world of The Simpsons. The alt-cast of December 9th Bengals Cowboys contest will have the show's voice actors participating in animated versions of Mina Kimes, Dan Orlovsky, and Drew Carter calling the game action. They did this last year with Toy Story. This year they're doing it with The Simpsons because, yes, Disney owns The Simpsons of all things. Walt Disney Company, NFL, and ESPN teaming up to debut another animated alternative broadcast of an upcoming NFL game. But this time, they're going big with The Simpsons Fun Day Football. December 9, ESPN on Disney Plus will stream the Cowboys-Bengals matchup, and it will take place in the Springfield Adams Stadium. All the players replaced by dozens of animated characters based on those from the Fox and Disney series The Simpsons. I don't know if you remember this, Keith, but there was a season 5 episode where Homer goes and works. It's the name of the episode is "You Only Move Twice," and he goes to work for a Bond villain. And Homer does a great job. He's leading the germ warfare divisions and the weather machine divisions to great successes. He's doing a great job. And Hank Scorpio is his boss. And Hank Scorpio is a wonderful boss. The benefits there are amazing. It's a tremendously positive work culture. It's basically what Google modeled themselves on. And Hank wants to know what Homer's dreams are because Hank Scorpio is one of these. He's a super villain, but he also cares about his employees and he wants his employees' dreams to come true. In fact, when Homer kills James Bond, Hank Scorpio has a story added to Homer Simpson's house. So good job. But he wants to know Homer's dreams. And Homer says to him, you're going to think it's silly. And Hank Scorpio says, no, tell me. And he goes, I've always wanted to own the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny, right? Hank Scorpio says, I don't know about that, but it could happen. So anyway, Hank Scorpio seizes the East Coast. Homer decides that the move is bad for his family. Marge is like drinking more, and Lisa has allergies, and of course they live out in the woods, and she's allergic to everything. And Bart is struggling at school because he's put into a remedial class where he's just really struggling to fit in. So the move's bad for his family. He says, we're going back to Springfield. When he gets there, to thank him for helping him seize the East Coast, Hank Scorpio has gifted him ownership of the Denver Broncos. And Homer Simpson's very sad. He goes, oh, the Broncos. And Marge is like, well, I think owning the Denver Broncos is pretty good. And he goes, well, you just wouldn't get it. Like at one point, a player runs by and a ball hits him in the back of the neck because he's running away. So it's just funny that that's where we started from. And now Homer apparently will be in a game. It's the second year that Disney will stream an animated version of an NFL game. But it'll be bigger and on multiple fronts. It'll be an NFL Monday Night Football matchup. Not a Sunday morning game like last year's Toy Story game. And unlike last year's, which saw Hollywood strikes limit the ability of Disney to utilize talent from those films, this year's Simpsons game will feature the full roster of Simpsons voice participating. Hank Azaria, Nancy Cartwright, Dan Castellaneta, Julie Kavner, and Yardley Smith. They're going to lend their voices to pre-recorded bits and skits that are written by the Simpsons production team that will run before and during the game, including some that involve players from each team and the talent from ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, Peyton and Eli Manning. They're also going to have their announcers from the booth animated, Dan Orlovsky, Drew Carter. Parts of the games, Bart Simpson will appear on the field for the Bengals, or at least an animated version of him, replacing an actual Bengals player. Can you imagine being a Bengals player and then when they show the alt cast, it's fucking Bart Simpson in your place? It would make me mad. Well, Homer Simpson will play for the Cowboys. Maybe a good year for Homer to play for them. That wasn't the move I was asking for earlier, by the way. Marge and Lisa will interview players during the game while Maggie mans the sky cam. Why aren't Marge and Lisa allowed to play?
Good question.
I'll take Marge and Lisa. Fuck, I don't care. The Simpsons themed alt cast means the ESPN will have 3 different versions of this week's Monday Night Football, with the traditional one with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the Manning cast, and then the Simpsons version.
So I think with them doing this, I think it's a pretty safe bet, even though we're both playing shitty, is that probably will not get flexed.
It won't get flexed because they're having to go to a lot of effort to get all of these pieces into place.
I'm not a fan, but
now I wish it was flexed because it just shows you that this game's a joke. Like they're literally like, well, whatever. The only way we can get people to watch this game is by turning it into an episode of The Simpsons.
right.
Because no one's going to watch the Cowboys and the Bengals by the time their season. There's every chance that you and I could both be out of playoff contention by December 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be a meaningless game. And the reason why they selected this game to do that is because, that was going to be one of our big marquee games. We thought that, Dallas would be at least doing as well as it did last year. They're going to be atop the NFC, maybe second place, third place, fourth place, who knows. but maybe leading their division. I don't think anyone expected the Redskins to be doing so well. And they certainly had big expectations for the Bengals and Joe Burrow, as they do every year. But now it's going to be nothing. And so let's make it an episode of The Simpsons. So
I'm so glad I didn't buy tickets.
I know, aren't you? Like at one point we're like, we should go to the game together. And now we would just be like trying to sell them or something. Let's get to your picks. Kiefer has picked to win this week. The Houston Texans, the Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo Bills, the Bengals, the San Diego Chargers, Patriots, the Redskins, the Saints, the Baltimore Ravens, the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Lions, the Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Chiefs. So this marks a turn in your rationale. You are no longer supporting the Cowboys and their chances to win. You don't think that they can beat the Falcons. Is that what you're saying this week?
That's precisely what I'm saying.
For the season, Kiefer sits at a 0.64 and I'm at a 0.691. Nice.
Damn it.
Yes.
Killing me, Smalls.
I'm leading you by a few games now. I've been inching in front of you by 1 or 2 games every week. And this week I've only picked a few games different. I did pick the Browns to win based off of Jameis Winston. Just I feel like he could possibly go out there and beat the Chargers. I think there's every chance that could happen. I also picked the Bears just because I think the Bears will be bouncing back. So I think that's who we will be seeing win this week. And both Keith and I are doing a decent job. What's surprising this week is I think the games that are the most contentious are actually the games that are like the least important. Like the Saints, like are they going to win? Like, yeah, I guess, they're playing the Panthers. So it's like it could go either way, but it's like in a totally unimportant way. So the Saints would probably beat the Panthers, I guess, and the Patriots will probably win, I guess. So those are our picks for the week. We mostly mention those just so that we go on the record with you. Anything else that you could think of? When's your next episode of One More and I'm out of here?
Potentially Friday or Monday. Andrew's going out of town. He's going to a big event that we potentially we're kind of in flux right now. But
Andrew said I was funny the other day.
Andrew likes you. You think he does not because you mess his name up every time, but that's okay.
I think he does not aware that I exist.
Oh, he's aware of you.
Oh, you make it sound like a nemesis. Like, oh, he's very aware of you. He's watching you, pal.
But yeah, so he's got an event that he's working on something. So we're hopefully Friday, but if not Friday, Monday.
All right. Well, folks, this has been Illegal Shift on Failure to Stop. It's been wonderful being on Failure to Stop's network. It's been nice to share the airspace with the podcast that I loved so well that brought me on board here. Of course, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm still riding along with Eric Tanzi and switching over to Fox News. And it's fine. I feel okay about it. I don't think there's any feelings to be had. I'm very excited to be having a podcast career. It's all because of Eric. So thanks to him. Make sure you're looking for Fox News on YouTube and on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Make sure that you're supporting Fox News. We need that's growing from the ground up.
FAWKES.
FAWKES. Thank you. You got to remember Failure to Stop. When Mike the Cop was here, admittedly, he was a celebrity. And we built a tremendous base, and we kept a lot of fans even after Mike left. With Fox News, we don't necessarily have the numbers there, so nothing is monetized with that yet. So we need everybody in the Wolf Pack who's a big fan of Eric, everything that I do, because I'm the producer, Kiefer, Deadleg, all the everybody that you like over here. Make sure you're supporting us at Fox News and following and liking and subscribing and sending downloads and everything you need to do for that, because that's starting from the bottom and working its way up. So we need all you guys to move over there. We appreciate you listening as always. And one more and I'm out of here. We also appreciate everybody in that audience for supporting Kiefer as well. And Andrew, I'm aware of you. I'll be watching you on the next episode of One More and I'm out of here. Heading into the election, did you want to call it now? Who's going to win? Did you want to make your picks for November 5?
I am behind Trump.
I didn't say who you were voting for.
I just said I'm behind him.
Okay.
I didn't say I voted for him.
Okay, sorry. You've made an ass of me again. You don't have to like say it 3 times. Who do you think is going to win, though?
Trump.
I'm calling Harris. It's not because I want to.
It's because I called Trump.
It's because I don't believe in elections.
Well, all right.
There's so much fraud going on.
That's a whole nother podcast.
You know, even Jimmy Carter said that there was no way to have secure elections. Jimmy Carter and Elon Musk both agreed that you cannot have secure elections unless it's all done on paper. It's the only way. Anything electronic can be tampered with.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't learn any lessons from 4 years ago. We have not made any changes. Like, yeah, COVID's not going on. We're not doing as many mail-in ballots, but we're still doing mail-in ballots.
Right. No,
How do you know that you mail in your ballot and it doesn't just get opened up and thrown in the fucking trash? Anybody who's doing mail-in ballots, like, your vote's a joke.
There's already videos of ballot boxes on fire.
Yeah. That was your choice. That was you trying to exercise, the determination for your country, and look what happened to it. So with all those things in mind, I feel like 4 years ago, they knew that Trump was winning and going to win. And even as late in the night, when all of a sudden, the curve started showing that Biden was overtaking him rather dramatically. And I think that was all, the last play of the game that was COVID. I think that they realized we don't have to have a pandemic this year, because we all kind of predicted that there would be something this year that would shake up world events to make this election difficult. I think that they have an absolute stranglehold over it. I think the election's already over. And I don't mean to depress you, but there's no hope for the future. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to Illegal Shift. We appreciate you. We'll catch you back here next week. Wanted to just mention everyone in the chats. Marines Blood, love you. Hydroman Blue, I thought you were dead. I'm so glad that you're here. And anyone else that was here today. Jill, conspicuously absent. Oh, no, she was here. Jill, love you. Hope everything's going well for you there. We'll catch you later. Guns up.
Giddy up.
Goodbye, America.